deadly drug disguised to look like candy is now circulating in Georgia. It's called rainbow fentanyl.
And at precisely 5:14 hours before dawn broke over Jefferson, Georgia, the still air trembled with the low growl of engines. Then came the blast, one deafening flashbang, a shockwave that rolled across the street like thunder. From behind the haze, red-blue light flickered off rain-slick asphalt while agents shouted the words that end every illusion of safety.
Unfortunately, the packaging on a lot of drugs is kind of becoming flavorful and desirable by kids, and we're seeing a lot of issues with unexpected overdoses.
The emergence of these pills.
FBI, hands up, search warrant. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed, echoing through the dark. The neighborhood was awake, but few understood they were standing at ground zero of a war that had silently crossed America's borders. If you believe criminals armed with grenade launchers don't belong in American neighborhoods, and you want to see how this mission exposes a threat most citizens never hear about, hit subscribe right now, because what's coming next will change how you see law enforcement forever. Within seconds, armored vehicles sealed both ends of the block. FBI SWAT teams, ICE Homeland Security agents, and the DEA's Athens Task Force moved as one. It wasn't a simple raid. It was the opening move of Operation Take Back America, a federal crackdown on a transnational drug network that had dug its roots deep into Georgia's college towns. Inside the target house, agents found more than they expected, far more. Plastic-sealed bricks of cocaine and methamphetamine covered a kitchen table. Nearby, a tray of powdered fentanyl spilled onto the floor, its deadly dust glimmering under a flashlight beam. But the real shock came from the arsenal. 26 firearms, including 12 AR-style rifles, a dozen handguns, and wedged beneath a workbench, a military-grade grenade launcher.
Or in the garage or wherever, that particular area, and find this amount of drugs, especially fentanyl.
They found multiple types of drugs in pill and powder form.
This was no ordinary arrest. It was a paramilitary stronghold disguised as a home. The room smelled of chemicals and gun oil. Blueprints lined the walls, each one mapping routes from Mexico to Georgia. Pinned notes showed payment codes, names, and phone numbers written in cipher. That's when agents realized this was cartel warfare hidden in plain sight. For months, federal intelligence had intercepted encrypted calls and unusual wire transfers linking Athens and Atlanta to foreign accounts. Now they had proof. The organization was led by a man known as Chito, a 48-year-old Mexican national suspected of direct ties to the Sinaloa cartel. He had served time for drug trafficking once before. When he got out, he didn't reform, he rebuilt. Wiretaps showed his crew used college rental homes as stash sites and laundered profits through local businesses.
A massive drug bust at the port of Houston. Officials say they stopped more than 1,000 barrels of chemicals from China headed to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel.
Surveillance footage later revealed drivers swapping packages in parking lots just blocks from the University of Georgia. To neighbors, they looked like delivery men. To federal agents, they were couriers for a foreign criminal state. They had been living among students, professors, and families for years without anyone noticing. But what stunned investigators most was not the money or the weapons. It was the criminal records. Several of the suspects had already served long sentences for major drug convictions, then walked free and went right back to business. This time, they weren't small-time dealers. They were fully armed repeat offenders, handling enough fentanyl to kill nearly 7 million people. How many of their other houses were still active labs? No one knew. By sunrise, 13 federal and state agencies had executed 12 coordinated raids across Athens, Atlanta, and Jefferson. Agents described it as urban combat in slow motion. Each team breached doors within seconds of one another to prevent tip-offs. In one house, they found ledgers recording $900,000 in transactions. In another, burner phones still buzzed with incoming messages from Mexico.
That's why doctors are urging parents to put their kids on alert and never bring drugs like this into your home.
The evidence was overwhelming, and so was the implication. A foreign cartel had established a branch in the heart of Georgia. The streets looked quiet again, but agents knew better. When you cut off one arm of an empire that powerful, something else is already moving in the dark to replace it. By the time daylight cut through the low Georgia fog, the scale of Operation Take Back America was clear. What began as a single raid had unfolded into a statewide siege. Convoys rolled down I-85 under federal escort, transporting evidence boxes, weapons crates, and detained suspects. Helicopters traced lazy circles overhead, their rotors thumping like a metronome for justice. Inside the FBI's temporary command center in Athens, digital maps glowed red across 3 counties. Each mark represented a location already secured or one that still needed to be breached. The voice over the comms was calm but final. All teams stand by for simultaneous extraction. No leaks, no delays. This was not a local narcotics case. It was the dismantling of a transnational combat network.
the FBI and DEA together seized approximately 750,000 pills. These pills contained either fentanyl, cocaine, or methamphetamine.
Built with precision that mirrored military doctrine, every warehouse doubled as a distribution hub. Every suspect had a defined role: cook, courier, collector, guard. Analysts tracking encrypted messages found coordination levels that rivaled small unit operations in war zones. What stunned even veteran agents was how quickly orders moved from Mexico to Georgia: minutes, not days. Someone on U.S. soil was relaying commands in real time. As agents processed seized evidence, the numbers told their own story. 26 kilograms of cocaine worth roughly $780,000. 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl, capable of producing 850,000 lethal doses. 500 grams of methamphetamine, 140 grams of crack cocaine, and over a kilogram of marijuana. 128 illicit pharmaceuticals repackaged to look like legitimate painkillers. Add to that 26 firearms and 1 functional grenade launcher, and the threat level spoke for itself. Forensic technicians swabbed the launcher for prints. Its serial number had been ground off, indicating direct supply from an international source, possibly a diversion from Central America's black market arms circuit. While local news called it a drug bust, investigators knew it was something larger, a logistics hub of a billion-dollar cartel empire, positioned strategically between Atlanta's transport corridors and the college streets of Athens. Every road in or out of the state could have carried the next shipment, and maybe still was. In interviews, senior officials avoided politics. One federal director simply said, "We're not policing neighborhoods anymore. We're defending them." That sentence captured the reality: domestic defense against foreign-run narcotics warfare. The ICE Homeland Security Investigations team traced financial flows through shell companies registered to abandoned storefronts. In one case, a tire shop that hadn't sold a single tire in 2 years moved $63,000 in cash weekly through a Chinese-linked underground bank. The cartel wasn't just pushing poison, it was laundering its profits into Georgia's small business economy. Agents from the DEA confirmed multiple connections to known Sinaloa cartel intermediaries. Messages pulled from burner phones referenced the blue bag and summer heat, phrases later decoded as internal codenames for shipments and payments. The name matched the FBI's own operation subtitle, Project Summer Heat, evidence that the enemy had intercepted enough intelligence to echo federal terminology back at them. If the cartel knew the task force codename before the raid began, how deep was the leak? Meanwhile, community shock turned to fear. In Athens, college students awoke to headlines showing pictures of grenade launchers beside dorm-style furniture. Parents called campus hotlines asking if classes were still safe. Few realized how close the violence had crept within walking distance of lecture halls and coffee shops. By noon, 17 suspects were in custody. 12 had been captured during simultaneous entries. 5 were taken hours later after vehicle pursuits near Atlanta's outskirts. Each faced life sentence potential under federal conspiracy statutes. Among them were men who'd already served time for drug trafficking, released early under state parole guidelines. One veteran field agent summed it up bluntly: "We're fighting the same soldiers twice." The comment drew silence in the command center, because for every cell dismantled, another was already regrouping, same hierarchy, new names. For now, though, victory was undeniable. The coordinated sweep had neutralized a cartel satellite, seized nearly $1 million worth of narcotics, and prevented untold overdose deaths. Yet the triumph carried a shadow. Agents knew the network extended beyond state lines, feeding supply chains that reached coast to coast. As dusk settled over Athens, the final transports departed toward federal holding facilities. On the side of one armored truck, a sticker read, "Operation Take Back America Phase 1 complete." But no one inside celebrated. They'd seen this pattern before, because when a cartel loses ground, it doesn't retreat, it regroups, sharper, faster, and deadlier than before. By the second night, federal intelligence analysts were already mapping what the seized laptops and phones revealed: a network more intricate than anyone imagined. The data logs showed encrypted transactions routed through cryptocurrency wallets, offshore accounts, and shell companies spanning California, Texas, and Georgia. The cartel's reach wasn't shrinking, it was adapting. Inside the FBI's cyber forensics lab, a digital heat map flickered red with new coordinates. Each dot represented a potential relay: warehouses, safe houses, unregistered vehicles. The connection speed suggested that cartel command centers were still active, alive, just deeper underground. Somewhere between the seized cell towers and encrypted chats, an entire second operation was hiding in plain sight. At 7:45 hours, an encrypted message was intercepted. It originated near the Georgia-Alabama line. The text was brief: Phase 2 shipment delayed. Heat high. Switch route south. For the task force commanders, that single line was a spark. It meant that another convoy was moving, possibly carrying the next multi-million-dollar load of fentanyl. Within minutes, ICE air recon drones lifted off from an airstrip near Macon. Below, FBI tactical teams mobilized on rural highways. Thermal cameras scanned the forest canopy for heat signatures. In one frame, analysts spotted a cluster of trucks idling beneath tree cover engines still warm. If those vehicles reached Interstate 85, the next wave of poison would vanish into America's bloodstream. Agents moved fast. Roadblocks sealed off the corridor. A convoy of black SUVs fanned out across the county line. Each driver wore night vision goggles, radios clipped to their shoulders. When the command word came, intercept authorized, headlights flashed, engines roared, and the pursuit began. The first truck surrendered quickly. The second tried to ram through the blockade. Tactical vehicles boxed it in. When agents breached the trailer, they found bricks of compressed powder, coated packaging identical to those seized in Athens. Hidden compartments contained unregistered firearms and a half-disassembled M203 grenade launcher tube, proof that the cartel wasn't done rearming. As the convoy arrests concluded, field teams relayed live data back to Athens HQ. Analysts cross-referenced the confiscated phones with prior warrants. The same contact number kept appearing under different aliases: T.O. Omar, Mechanic, Blue Light. That number, traced through a prepaid international line, led straight to Culiacan, Sinaloa. The operation in Georgia wasn't just a branch, it was a remote arm directly answering to the cartel's command center in Mexico. Meanwhile, DEA intelligence confirmed another layer: money laundering through cryptocurrency exchanges registered under U.S. shell corporations. Small spikes in blockchain activity matched shipment times, revealing profit conversions in real time. Every digital pulse meant lives at risk. To the agents reviewing the screens, it became clear the battlefield had shifted from rural highways to the invisible web, and the enemy was fluent in both. At 21:30 hours, Federal Command issued a silent directive: full containment authorization. ICE cyber units froze 7 digital wallets containing over $900,000 in cartel proceeds, while DEA operatives secured search orders for 2 Atlanta-based accounts linked to Chinese underground banks. For the first time, the cartel's global financial artery was being cut one account at a time. But pressure brings retaliation. That same night, a local sheriff's deputy reported drones hovering above an evidence facility in Jackson County. The devices fled before they could be intercepted. But one detail stood out: each carried a payload hook. Analysts later confirmed they were custom-built retrieval drones designed to lift small packages, likely hard drives or documents. It was a message from the cartel: we're still watching. By dawn, Operation Take Back America had evolved from raids to counterintelligence warfare. What began as arrests in Georgia now stretched across 5 states and 2 countries. Yet, even as agencies celebrated the seizures and arrests, they knew the battle was far from finished. Every encrypted text recovered, every transaction frozen, hinted at something bigger, a shadow operation still in motion. Somewhere beyond that glowing map, a replacement network was already online, waiting for the moment America looks away. By 4:30 hours, the fog still clung low over Jackson County as federal teams regrouped. In a warehouse-turned-command post, digital boards flashed red, green, clear. The words "Target Zone Secured" appeared across every screen. Operation Take Back America had done what few believed possible. It had dismantled a live cartel network operating inside U.S. soil. Evidence tables were stacked with sealed crates: 26 kilograms of cocaine, 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and hundreds of counterfeit pills. The valuation exceeded $900,000, but agents weren't celebrating the numbers. Each package represented lives that would not end on Georgia's streets. Across the room, an ICE commander reviewed the weapons list: 12 rifles, 14 handguns, and that one infamous grenade launcher recovered from Jefferson. If that thing had ever been fired, he said quietly, we'd be counting body bags, not arrests. Somewhere across another border, more launchers were already being packed for the next shipment. In Washington, early intelligence briefings praised the raid as a model of interagency precision. But every agent on the ground knew the truth: this wasn't an ending. It was a pause between battles. The cartel's overseas handlers had already gone dark, their digital channels deleted, their crypto wallets frozen. Yet a new signal could appear any hour. At the press stand that afternoon, the U.S. attorney spoke in measured tones. This operation proves that, when we act as one, we can strike fear into organizations that profit from American deaths. Behind him, a table displayed confiscated weapons like trophies of a modern war. Cameras flashed. But outside, in the drizzle, families watched silently, realizing the enemy wasn't oceans away, it had been next door. And though the lights of the raid had faded, the shadow it revealed would haunt Georgia for years. By sunset, 17 suspects were booked into federal custody. Indictments cited drug conspiracy, illegal weapons possession, and transnational coordination. For the ringleader, known as Cheeto, prosecutors confirmed the maximum penalty: life in prison. The others would follow. For the first time, Georgia's fentanyl pipeline had been visibly severed. Still, inside the Bureau's secure evidence vault, one sealed container remained unopened, a weatherproof hard drive pulled from the raid site. Forensics traced fragments of a message. Phase 3, new routes ready. The screen went dark. It wasn't over. It never really is. When the agents finally stepped outside, dawn broke for the second time that week. The sky above Jefferson glowed pale orange, cutting through the mist. For a fleeting moment, the town felt quiet again, like America had caught its breath. Then, a chopper thundered overhead, heading south. Another mission. Another line in the sand. In every briefing room, a single reminder glowed on the wall monitors. Cartels adapt, so must we. The message was clear. The United States wasn't retreating. It was preparing. Every operation, every arrest, every intercept was another signal to those who dared to test America's resolve. And as the camera of history zoomed out over Georgia's reclaimed streets, one fact remained unshaken. This was not just law enforcement. This was national defense. Mic drop line. 40 words. The world's most dangerous cartel built an empire on fear, but in Georgia, fear met the FBI, ICE, and the Marines. And in that clash of will and duty, the empire finally broke. If this mission reminded you why justice still matters, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and share this report. Because silence helps the cartels, but your voice helps the truth spread.